I'm going to describe a clinician in this episode. Some of you are going to recognize her as yourself. If you recognize her as yourself, stay with me. Don't turn this off. This isn't a judgment, it's a mirror. And as we know as clinicians, a mirror is only useful if you're willing to look at it honestly. And I know what I'm about to say is going to land hard. I'm going to say it anyways. I usually do. Welcome to the Clinical CEO podcast. Build the business your future self will thank you for. Welcome back to the Clinical CEO. I'm Jessica Echeverri, and this is episode number 7. I consult with many clinicians a week, and I've been doing it for years. Across thousands of those conversations, I've seen every pattern this field produces, and there's one that shows up more than any other. It's also the one that does the most damage to the clinicians caught inside it. I'm going to describe her today because I've come to believe that naming her out loud is the only thing that breaks her free. She's in her late 30s, early 40s. She's been in practice somewhere between 5 to 15 years. She's good at the work. Her clients love her. She has a wait list. Her referral partners throw their clients at her. From the outside, she's doing fine. On the inside, she is not fine. She knows her fees are too low. She's known it for at least 2 years. She's been meaning to raise them. And she has the perfect reason why this quarter isn't the right quarter. She had the same reason last quarter. She knows she needs to do something about her revenue structure. Drop a panel, add cash pay, change her mix, do something. She's known it for at least 5 years. She's been meaning to. She has the perfect reason why this isn't the time. She knows she needs help. A virtual assistant, maybe an associate or an intern. She's been meaning to hire, and she has the perfect reason why she can't afford it yet, or why nobody's quite right, or why she needs to get just a little more organized first. She knows she needs to build an email list, take a week off, redesign the website, formalize an intake, update her policies, raise her fees again because she still hasn't. She knows all of it, and she's known it for years, and she's doing none of it. That is the reluctant business owner. She's the most common clinician that I meet, the most frustrating one to work with, not because she doesn't know what to do, but because she knows exactly what to do and consistently doesn't do it. Let me be clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying she's lazy. She's working harder than almost anyone you know. She's exhausted. I'm not saying she's stupid. She's obviously intelligent. She understood the problem faster than most of my clients. I'm not saying she doesn't care. She cares more than almost any professional in the field. The caring is the part of how she got stuck. What I'm saying is that she's operating from a kind of paralysis that looks, at least from the outside, like she's choosing not to act. From the inside, it feels like she just cannot act. And I've seen this enough times to know what's underneath it. And I want to tell you because if I'm describing you right now, I want you to see what I see. Here's what's actually happening. The reluctant business owner isn't failing to act because of the tactical problem in front of her. She's failing to act because acting on any of it would require her to become a different version of herself. And that version isn't available yet. Raising her fees isn't a pricing problem. It's an identity problem. To raise her fees, she'd have to be the woman who actually asks to be paid what she's worth. And she wasn't raised to be that woman. Or the last 10 years trained her out of being that woman. Or she's done the work to become her, but the old version keeps showing up the moment she opens her email to draft the announcement. Hiring help isn't a logistics problem. It's a control problem. To hire, she'd have to be the woman who trusts another human with work that she's been carrying herself. And trust wasn't safe in the house she grew up in, or it burned her in her last workplace, or nobody has ever done it well enough for her to let go. Taking a vacation isn't a scheduling problem. It's a worthiness problem. To take one, she'd have to believe that she's allowed to rest. And she's spent her whole life earning her place by being useful. And rest to her nervous system feels like the thing that comes right before she's replaced. And there's one more layer that's underneath all of those, and it's the one that binds them all together. The reluctant business owner is at a level that she's not fully conscious of. She's afraid of what happens if all those changes actually work. She's not afraid of if the change fails. She'll talk about that fear openly. What she won't talk about and might not even know is that she's just as afraid of the change that succeeds. Because if she raises her fees and the practice keeps running, she has to become the woman who charges that fee. She has to look in the mirror as the woman who makes that kind of money. She has to explain her new income to her family, her friends, the clinicians in her cohort still making less. She has to be visible at a new level. And visibility, as we covered in episode 4, is already something that she's been avoiding. If she hires help, and that help is good, she has to accept that she was capable of delegating all along. And the years that she spent not delegating were a choice. And that's a really painful pill to swallow. Deep down, most of us would rather keep believing that we had no choice than face the fact that we could have done it differently the whole time. If she takes a week off and the practice survives, she has to reckon with the fact that her constant presence was never as essential as she believed it was. Being the one who the practice can't run without, who has to have their hands on every piece of it, is the identity that she has built over years. If it runs without her, she has to give that up. The reluctance isn't only about the failure. It's about what success would require her to become. If this is the landing, stay with me. I know it's uncomfortable. The reason I'm naming all of this in episode number 7 is that this is where the first half of the season either sinks in or it doesn't. If you've been listening for 6 weeks and you're about to nod along with one more episode and then walk right back into your practice tomorrow, I need to interrupt that right now because the pattern is the problem. Let me ask you something directly and answer it in your head honestly right now. If someone asked you today what needs to change in your practice for it to become sustainable, how long would it take you to tell them? For most of you, about 15 seconds. You've known for a long time. You could rattle a list off right now in the car, on your walk, wherever you are, folding laundry, whatever you're doing. Raise the rates, drop the panels, hire an assistant, build a list, take a week off, let go of that client that drains you, stop booking that late spot, update the website, move to a group model, add a course, hire an intern, outsource the books, do the damn thing. You know what it is. And that's what this episode is all about. Knowing isn't the bottleneck anymore. The bottleneck is that there's a version of you who believes somewhere below conscious thought that if you actually did the thing that's on the list, something bad would happen. You'd lose clients. You'd be seen as greedy. You'd find out you couldn't handle it. You'd be exposed, you'd fail, or you succeed and then you'd have to become someone new, and you're not really sure that you want that. Your reluctance isn't laziness, it's self-protection, and it's protecting you from a threat that isn't there anymore. Your system just doesn't know it yet. I want to push this one step further because it'll help you see what you're doing through a different lens. Your reluctance is a clinical response. If a client came to you and described what I just described, you'd know exactly how to conceptualize her. You'd see the avoidance, you'd see the distortions, you'd see the attachment to an identity that no longer serves her. You would even see the fear of change as a self-preservation strategy that's outlived its purpose, right? You'd work with her slowly and compassionately, help her to see it, and help build her tolerance for the discomfort that the real change brings. You treat that client so professionally, you'd know exactly what to do, but you don't do it for yourself. You don't apply the same framework that you'd apply to her. You let your own reluctance go unnamed, unexplained, and unaddressed. You do with yourself what no competent clinician would ever do with a client. And that's the part I want you to sit with. You're not failing to implement because you lack the skill. You have the skill, you have the clinical lens, you know what to do. You're failing because you're exempting yourself from your own treatment. Here's what I want you to do with this episode, because an episode that just diagnoses and just leaves you there is simply cruel. And I'm not trying to be cruel. Pick one thing, one, not the list, not the entire page, just one tiny thing. Pick the thing that if you did it would move you closer to that number that you wrote down in episode number 5. Not the easiest thing, not the thing that you'd feel best about, the thing that moves that number most. For most of you, it's a rate change. It almost always is. That's pretty much the lever with the highest dollar impact and the least amount of effort. And it's honestly no coincidence that is the thing that you're most reluctant to even touch. But pick it this week. Go ahead and pick it. Don't do it yet. Stay with me. Before you make that change, take it back to whoever you're working with clinically, your therapist. If you don't have one, go back to episode number 3. If you do, bring it to her this week and say something like this. I know I need to do this, and I've known for a year or 3 years or 5 years, but I can't seem to make myself do it. What's underneath me not raising my rates or me not doing this thing? And let her help you find the answer. Then, once you actually have found the answer, make the change. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to fully process everything before making the change. Make the change knowing that the reluctance is still going to be there even as you're hitting send. The reluctance doesn't lift before the action. It lifts after. Once your system finally sees that that big, bad, scary thing didn't happen. You're going to be scared, but do it anyway. I think it's really important to talk about like the timeline of this work, because I don't want you to hear this episode and then think that you have to resolve it this week. The reluctance that you've been carrying about this took decades to build. It won't clear in a week. What clears in a week is the first action. One thing, one rate change or hire, or one vacation booked, or one email list set up. But what that action does is it drops a new piece of evidence, a new piece of data into your nervous system that the bad thing doesn't happen. It's not so scary after all. The evidence starts to stack up over months and years, and eventually the reluctance thins down enough so that the next action is easier, and the next and the next. I'm not in year 1 of this work. I'm in year 18. I still catch myself reluctant to do what I should do. The difference between me and the woman in that parking lot in 2012 isn't that I eliminated the reluctance. It's that I have 14 years of evidence that the bad thing doesn't happen. And that evidence lets me make a different choice when that reluctance shows up. You're building that evidence now, this week, this month, this year. The work needs your patience, because your relationship with the reluctance is going to be lifelong. The structural change in your practice happens as you gather enough evidence to act in spite of it. And that gathering starts with one thing. Pick the thing. Do the thing. One more thing before I close. I'm not telling you this because I don't know how hard it is. I know exactly how hard it is. I know because I sat in my car in February in 2012, having just decided to close my whole practice rather than face the thing I'm asking you to face right now. I know because I have watched clinicians that I respect stay stuck in this for years. And I know how painful it is to watch someone keep not doing the thing that would save her. I'm not your therapist, but I may be the closest thing to a senior colleague that you've got this week, who's actually willing to tell you flat out that the reason your practice isn't moving is not that you need more information. It's that you need to do what you already know needs to be done. You know what to do. Go do it. So if this episode actually hit home, here's where to start. And it's a lot gentler than you might expect. I built a short diagnostic that tells you which of the 3 clinicians you're currently operating as: the pure clinician, the reluctant business owner, and the clinical CEO. And if this episode feels like a mirror, the diagnostic will tell you exactly where you're standing and what the next move is from there. It'll only take you a couple minutes, and the link is in the show notes. And if you already know that the reluctance is the thing that's standing between you and the practice that you want, the Clinical CEO Business Mastery Program is where this actually gets built with me over a full year. The first cohort is capped at a small number of beta seats. So if that's where you know you're headed, get on the waitlist. The link for that is in the show notes too. And if you want to be around clinicians doing this work alongside you, then come on into the Clinical CEO Collective. It's our free community, and it's also linked in the show notes. God, there's a lot of stuff in the show notes today. Next week, I'm going to tell you a story about the Horse Therapy Center of Canada and why the thing that my insurance agent once said to me about liability is the most important conversation that I've had about building something that can survive. I'll see you then. This is the Clinical CEO. I'm Jessica Echeverri. Build the practice your future self will thank you for.